Hello and welcome to the gallery. My name is Jon and tonight we are painting an undead dire troll. Now this undead dire troll thing is a commission work I was assigned. The brief was quite simple. He wanted it a sickly grey-green look on it, and the rest was basically up to me. It was gonna be an amalgamation of different trolls stitched together by some lich, so we start out by doing a little bit of custom work on the body, and then we just go straight into painting. And here we have it, the Nolzur miniature. This is a dire troll base model, but we're gonna change it up a little bit. First we have to scrape off some mold lines that are here and there, because it's not the best models, these models. And then we're gonna put in some sprugo on some of the bigger holes by the arms and by the main head, and we just drag that then out so it will be more flush with the model and just look like part of the muscles. After we've done that to those gaps, we're going to use the other gaps as a base for the green stuff we're putting in, because we want it to look like it's stitched together, so we're going to use those gaps as part of the seam where we're going to stitch it together with green stuff. And later on we will paint these in a metallic fashion so they're like stapled together in a haphazard and rough manner. After we put all these green stuff bits in, we start by priming it with a black paint, because we've taken a lot of primer off while we were scraping. We have a new plastic and green stuff on it, so a fresh coat of primer. Then we start by airbrushing it with a light grey. I'm sorry that my hand is in the way. It's just the camera was not in the best place, and afterwards it's not much I can do about that, sadly. So we start by putting a little bit of grey on it, and then we're going to do a quick zenithal with a really pale green, because this will be the base color that we will be working from, and we'll be using a lot of shades and a lot of techniques involving natural looks. So having this base color already down is very handy. And we focus it primarily on the top of the miniature, on the face, on the shoulder, on the hands, and it looks pretty good. Now before we start on all the brushwork, I want to mention something to you. Over the next coming weeks and months and years and decades and eons, there will be some new videos coming out, of course, but we're gonna have something interesting popping up over the next couple of months. So by all means, like and share and subscribe, and let's get back to the video. And now we start painting the model. We start out by using a very thinned out Athonian camo shade, and we're putting that over all the skin of the model just to get the feel of the color out of the crevices, so we know better where to put our layering a little bit later on. And now we start with the layering. This is a dark tan color from Vallejo, and I've thinned it out quite a lot, and we're just layering that over the muscles. Most of them, the ones that are quite a lot in the shadows, we can leave them, but we are focusing on most of the muscles. The idea was to paint this as a tabletop ready. I went a little bit further than that, so it's more of the higher end of the tabletop ready that I do, but it's not fully display, but it's good on the table. And now we start highlighting it even further. I've added a little bit of bone white to the dark tan color, and now we're really focusing on the more prominent bits, the knuckles of the toes, the bigger muscles, the face and the hands and stuff like that. A little bit here on those warts and bruises on his legs. And as you can see, it changes quite a lot. It's really on the pale side now. It's more grey-brown than green, but this will all change later down the line. And now it's later down the line. This is again the Athonian camo shade, not as thinned out as before, but still quite thin, and we're just glazing it basically all over the miniature to make the color more green, a little bit more sickly. Of course, you could do this with contrast paints, but I find you have much more control when you do it like this. And in the shadowy crevices, I put undiluted Athonian camel shade just to give it a little bit extra flavor, an extra oomph, a little bit more contrast look to it. And then we start with more of a reddish Caribou Crimson, if I recall correctly, and we start putting that around the extra faces and the extra arms, so all the stitches, everything that's added to the body, so it will look sore and disgusting, and all the wounds and everything. We're gonna get the undead stitched together, Frankensteinian, disgusting bit going on this thing. And as you can see, it changes quite a lot when you put that just down there. It makes it more bruised, it makes it feel more alive, in a sense. And then around the lips and the eyes, we start putting in Druchii Violet, a purple shade. And that's to give it more of an undead feeling, something more lacking in blood, something more pale and disgusting. And we focus this around the faces, and then a little bit undiluted on the claws, and then we moisten up the brush and feather it out so the fingers look like they are lacking a lot of blood. Then its eyes, just pop in a little bit of white in the eyes, and there's a lot of eyes. And then again with the purple shade over the eyes and into the crevices around the eyes. A little bit of Slanesh grey on all the tongues, which it has many of, just to get the mouth going, and then a Magos purple contrast paint over the tongues, so it has this dead muscle look to it. Now it's time for a little bit of wet blending. Throw down some brown on the cloth bits, and then add a little bit of tan to the brown, and just mix it together while it's all wet. It'll look good just to get that base coat down like this, and then we can worry about highlighting it a little bit further once it is dry. And now it's all dry, and we're just stippling in a lighter tone of beige over the most prominent bits of the cloth, and it will make it look like an old cloth. And then we have skulls and bones, and we're just putting some bone white on them all, and also on the teeth and the ropes. And this is gonna be a simple enough thing to do all these bits, because we're just getting a base color down and then just throwing in some contrast paints on top of it, and it'll do the job. And there's a lot of bony protrusions here and there on this model, so you really have to take a look and find them all. And then just skeletal horde contrast paint over all the bone bits and the teeth. We get disgusting yellow teeth by doing that, and that seems fitting for this monster. However, for the robe, because we don't want everything to look the same, we're throwing some basilicum grey on that, and it really goes into the crevices, and you just get this old grey dirty robe, and don't have to worry about that anymore. Now we have some hair. It's just black, and we're gonna wet blend into the black lighter and lighter shades of grey, just so we get something interesting going there, and it's quick and it's easy and it looks okay. Now that the contrast paints are dry on the skeletal skeletal horde, we just highlight that again with the bone white, and it looks okay. A little bit of extra there to the side, just wipe that off quickly. A little bit of metallic here, silver on all chains and all the staples that we've put in around the extra faces and extra arms. As you can see, just by putting that down, it looks a lot different. That's to say, if I could keep it in focus. And a bit typhus corrosion on it, because it's an old monster. It doesn't have fresh chains and fresh nails. It's probably more dangerous like that.
and then just some black wash around all these bits. And we're going to put some black wash here and there in the bits where we want a little bit more definition.
Now that this is all done, we just add a little bit of interest to the base, a little bit of tufts here and there, and then we're done.
And there you have it, an undead dire troll stitched together by some demented lich. I personally like this model, and furthermore, the customer was happy with it, and that's the main thing. Thank you very much for joining me here today. There are links in the description for all kinds of stuff, social media and various tidbits. You do with it what you will. Like, share, subscribe, and really go to town with it. But until next time, farewell.